In this video, we're going to talk about how to direct the eye. I talk about visual hierarchy a lot, in how you can utilize that to really enhance an overall visual presentation. So I just have, kind of an understanding of visual hierarchy graphic here to kind of establish what we're really talking about and how you can utilize a variety of aspects yet keep it the visual message alive. When I look at this graphic, I say, oh, visual, and then I make the connection with the other two, the understanding. Again, understanding because it's kind of stacked differently. We're not used to seeing that way. Our eye wants to engage in that. And then the underlying hierarchy below, using it kind of in a more subtle way with the stroke. Again, stroke's a difficult thing, but it can also create some interesting effects when you're trying to do a variety of things after you've kind of established. So now I've kind of filled it in. I still have that stroke on there with a different fill to kind of create that sense of hierarchy. Visuals number 1, understanding 2, hierarchy 3, and I kind of stair-stepped it down to have then it be seen as one whole. So how do you really go about building something like that? Again, just taking logos to again assess how we really interact with our typefaces. And what you don't ever want to do when you're combining typefaces is create confusion. So you want to make sure whatever you're doing is establishing a visual that will not in any way cause the eye to disengage or become confused by what it's trying to look at. And then give clues, give connections, make it appear that there was a rhyme or a reason, a rationale, even though there may not have been, and it may have been an accident. You want to try to give a visual that will do that. And then size differentiations. Too many times as designers we want to keep our elements exactly the same size because we think that's going to create the visual consistency. And you'll notice here in my example I have guitar so much larger than Memphis in music, and then I have my ampersand a little bit larger and I put it on an angle. So I'm utilizing size to pull people in, as well as color, kind of the repetitious use of color, and not trying to create any type of confusion to the overall design. And utilizing different typefaces as well will allow you to kind of establish that kind of directness that you're creating with the eye without trying to create too much confusion, or no confusion, not too much. You don't ever want to create confusion. Combining visuals of the same typeface. So here I'm using the same typeface across the design, but I'm utilizing it in different ways, bolds, and then I'm using a very thin stroked version of my Century Gothic. So you can see both Century Gothic, I'm just utilizing a different way. I used color to kind of marry and make the clues more that they're working together. And you'll notice also that my guitar and my music pretty much take up the same space, not exactly, but one has more letters than the other. I tried to kind of break Memphis into two kind of equal pieces with the ampersand running down the middle. This is an easy way to do it because Memphis has those two large M's which take up more space than the PHIS. So I was able to kind of play a little bit more with the one typeface, but then creating the engagement in that way. And I used size to kind of pull in and make things a little different to see if that would help the engagement. And there is no right or wrong really when playing and experimenting, but there is a right or wrong when you get to the final and you say, does it pull the eye in? Does it move it around? These are assessments you really have to start looking at, and you're never going to get it with the first design. You may not even get it with the 10th design. That is why you continue to kind of experiment and play, and then you can always back your way out of a design after you've considered some of the options. Did I combine typefaces? Did I change sizing? Did I adjust the spacing? Did I kind of look at different typefaces? Did I look at the same typeface in different weights or styles? Don't, kind of veer in one direction and think that that's going to achieve the visual that you're looking at. My last example here, I pulled in a script typeface with a very strong my old-fashioned or my old style typeface using Baskerville. Actually, Baskerville's a transitional typeface, but again, in the serif kind of older generation typeface. And I did a kind of a stacking, which was, again, we've kind of looked at how that helps. In the differentiations in the typefaces that I selected, I also have size differentiations here. Guitar and music are important to me, so I made them a little larger. You'll notice that I have my and in very small, and I rotated it. Decide the elements within the actual graphic, what's important. And is not all that important, but when used as an ampersand, it can be a really cool and intriguing graphic, because an ampersand is not seen as A-N-D. We see it as a kind of a cool glyph, which it is, and it's beautiful in a lot of different typefaces. So it's being used more in these instances as an element of design as far as a graphic, not so much as a word. But as soon as you move to a word, and I've classified those kind of design words we play with as those sight words that we don't actually have to read, and I, to, the, we don't actually have to read them to get the message. So try to minimize them in the graphic will then allow you to enhance the other pieces that the graphic is trying to get across. And in this place, or in this case, guitar and music kind of stacked on each other, giving a nice, interesting visual with that subtle, scripty typeface that I selected to give the sense of Memphis. And I chose this particular one because I thought it gave a sense of music, it gave a sense of flow to the other elements, and I didn't create any confusion. I just created good direction for the eye to move, and I varied size as well as color to help aid in that visual presentation and to engage the eye to see it as one whole instead of a bunch of pieces.